All right, guys, welcome back to Market Master Roland Attenborough. Today is William Delbert Gann's birthday, June 6th, and he came to pass into this realm 1878. And today is the last day for our 25% discount, and this is, of course, for our natural square scientific forecasting instrument, which is right here. And this also applies to our online forecasting course and our numerology and tarot readings and whatnot, and anything else that we provide. So you can text us here or email us here. Let's just dive into the chart. So looking at the trajectory, we were put out a video back in May 5th, one day before the top, stating that we would be making a top around this area and that we'd be seeing a pullback. And of course, I experienced a lot of negative feedback. However, I also experienced a high amount of very intelligent individuals and also organizations stating that our work has been very powerful and on point. And just that the market has come back. I said we would retest this trend line here, and these trend lines are, of course, the same bear market rally trend lines that we have seen from previous campaigns. We're just going to take a look at those really quickly here because I just want to point those out because I know the square was covering that. So I've put the high trajectory and the low trajectory for this bear market campaign, and they've held perfectly. They've been all the exact same angle. So in markets, William states that there is always a main trend, which is stipulated by these orange lines, and then there is always a minor trend that reacts against the main trend, and these white lines are the minor trend. So with a yin and a yang, or a duality, we see this occur over and over again, and I warned you gently that we would see yet again. I felt that the price wouldn't get much more than above this 77 and 79. You can go back and look at a bunch of my videos in the past. But we did stretch up to this 82.9 where Jupiter was at that time. Where is Jupiter here? I don't have it set up exactly, but Jupiter was at 19 degrees of the zodiac, which represents 82.9 on this longitude. And I stated that we would not get above this area. We've made a top, and that I felt that we would be starting to move down. And of course, this is, lo and behold, this is exactly and precisely what has happened. And I said that we would be retesting this angle here, and then once we drop below this angle, that we would be back right away to this lower part of our February 4th and 5th area where we made a bottom. And here we are, we're retesting this area, and we're looking for evidence that this market is going to adhere to this resistance and support level. And if that were to occur, what could we see? Well, obviously we could see a move back up into the 70, 72, and 73 area, which is right here on our scale of longitude, because the circle is 36 or 360, 72, and if we take a zero off or add them depending on what asset we're discussing. In this case, we're going to be discussing Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in the 70,000s, so we knock 3 zeros off so that we can bring it into the circle of 72, the second ring. So yes, we could in fact see a pullback and a bounce up to, somewhere in this level. Not stating that we will, don't get me wrong. We could essentially see a retest and a bounce here. However, from that, we've put our lower level here on 51, this blue ray here, which represents the last two moves down in our mica cycle. And what are we talking about exactly when we say that? Well, our last two moves have been about 36 and 38% from both of these market metrics. So naturally, we would use that as a guide stick and we would measure down, and 36 to 38% brings us into 51. So I've been stating that I think we're going to make it down to around this vibrational area of this mid to low 40 area. And also I want to point out while we're here, because I get this a lot about how do we know what the next move will be. So we just really need to go back and we need to go look at, so this move down from 126 here, which is right here, and I'm just going to straighten out this the square here. So from 126, a 360 degree move down brings us to 85, plus 45 degrees brings us to 81. But we just stretched a little bit past that. So it was, we could just say it's about 405 degrees in a move down. So with that being said, looking back here at this 97 and 98 level, if I take my ring and we just line it up here with the green ring, if we come down, we would hit 62, and the next 45 degree angle on the green line would be 59. And of course, that's exactly and precisely where we hit here. So let's just move forward and let's just take a look at what possibly this would be stating to us. So lining this back up with 82.8 or 83, as we've currently seen in our last bear market rally channel top. So a move down from 82, 360 degrees would bring us to 50, plus 45 degrees would bring us into this 47 to 45, 46 area, which is, it's, let's just say, from our Fibonacci level and my thesis of around this 40 level, the halfway point of this between these 2 points is 46, and our square is completely agreeing with that. So with that in mind, I want you to just be really careful. Yes, we could have a snapback rally here. However, it would be short and sharp before a resumption and a move down, which would be possible and likely that we could see this occur very close and similar to the July holiday for the American country. And I'm thinking that this is in line very much with our time. Why do I say that again? Well, let's just go back and look at the square again, and we'll just line this back up while I move this ring. Sorry, it's kind of stuck here. I don't really have good fingernails to get underneath this, but so I'm going to bring the 0 and bring it back to the low, or to the longitude of 0 on our natural part of our square at 0 degrees Aries. So May 6th, we made a top. So 45 degrees, or the next major point, would bring us right here to June 21st. So this would signify that by around the June 21st area. Not saying that we will, but it's likely impossible we end up around this 51. And why do I say that again? Well, again, on our ring here, from the first ring of 36 going up, we would hit 45. What's an opposite of 45 in here? Well, this would bring us again into the 63 area as well. So somewhere in this area here of 48 and this 63, which would be the opposite side in longitude, right, where we're talking 63, which is right here where we are currently vibrating at. So if we are not able to stay above this area, and subsequently we would need to break above 72, which is again moving up in longitude a 90-degree angle. If we can't get above 72 here in this area here where this angle is sitting here around the, we're talking around the 20th. So if we can't get above this and we suffer a headbutt underneath this white angle, then again we would be moving down in a rapid succession. Can we move lower? Well, I mean, certainly we could move lower. We could by the 20 of the June, we could make it down into this 22 and 23 level, which is sitting right here on our square, and 23 is conjunct 126 here. If you look across this, it is on a 90-degree angle and conjunct with 84. So is this possible? Yes, it is possible. Will it happen? Well, still need to see the evidence of a breakdown and a retest of this area here where, of course, we've had this low at 59 here on February 4th and 5th, and if we were to get above this or below this and do a headbutt into this and get some resistance, as you've seen here, we headbutted right into this area here. I'm not sure you can see that, but we did a headbutt up into and underneath of this underbelly of this channel. We talked about this extensively in previous tutorials. So if that were to occur, that would show extreme weakness again, and of course our bear thesis would be fully intact, and we'd be seeing lower prices, and we would be seeing this probably play out somewhere late in the year with some summer rallies. But we most likely will see, well, in my opinion of this market here, it's very likely that we headbutt back up underneath this and we make our way back down, and somewhere in this we would see a low in well, it doesn't have to be August, but July. Our first top back in July of last year, we did 108 or whatnot, and that was on July 13th. So that's 12 months, and our 13 months would be August and then September for our 13 months. So we could see a move down to this white line here, which is sitting from a previous campaign. I'd like to show that to you right now because I think it's important that we just kind of talk about what happens in the past, because the past is but a repetition of the future, and it doesn't have to be exact, it just needs to rhyme. So back last year here, right? So this is what I'm talking about. I took this angle and I just lined it up here, and it stretched out, and it looks like it may just fall upon the areas that we've been talking about, where we could see a low take place in this July, August, September area from our first top. August would take us to August, September, and October, and then from the October top it would take us into our October, November, and December, which represents this circle. This doesn't necessarily mean that this represents that we will be at 23,000 and 28,000. However, it is a market metric that I'm watching, and I'm watching this very closely. And if the market doesn't smarten up and find, well, let's just face it, if it doesn't find some traction here and we lose this area after a false fake move back up into this underbelly of the channel, then it would show extreme weakness. And if we were to break below this and make a headbutt, then that would be an exceptional bear case for the continuation of a move down. So I just thought I'd share that with you today, because a lot of people have been messaging me about the direction and velocity of the market, and I just wanted to point out that the work that we do, we pre-record these recordings for you, and we do it all ahead of time. And a lot of the times I'm able to read the future, and I've just been blessed by the great architect of the universe, and I think that William Delbert Gann is resonating deeply within my spirit. And I showed you a bunch of things on the square about my life and his life, and how I've lined up 100%, 180 degrees from where he was born, I was born, and when he passed, where I think I will pass. And this is a phenomena that still, I study his work extensively, and I believe in the esoteric knowledge. However, I'm still skeptical from time to time, but history is always proving to be correct, and same with the mathematical and the methodologies of William Gann. So I believe my life is resonating very deeply with him, and I just wanted to point that out to you. Not that, I'm trying to say that I'm right all the time, but I work very hard to protect what you're doing and the investment strategies that you are in fact navigating, and I'd like to just guide you gently that we're still in a 12-month bear market. And there's a lot of other creators out there that are probably agreeing with the past 4-year cycles. I think Benjamin Cohen is probably one of them that is a good proponent of some market analysis and thesis. He has a PhD, and he also has a lot of very good insight. I'm not saying he's always going to be right, nor am I, but what I'm saying is that I resonate strongly with people that use logical and sensible determinations based upon past market moves, and we just are measuring what the market's doing, and it just turns out that usually and typically these are correct, and our determinations are on point. So I hope all of you are having a really good weekend, and I'm wishing you all peace and love and a really good week ahead. And message me if you like, buzz me on my, text me on this number or email me. I'd love to hear more likely where you're from in the comments section. Please just message the comment section and tell me where you are from and where this message is reaching you. And also, I'd like to know what you think the market is going to do over the next couple of weeks and the several months, as I'm very interested in hearing from my audience and, of course, my clients. So peace and love to you all, brothers and sisters, and we'll catch up with you again. Peace and love.